Thank you, Mr. Chairman. General DeWine, thank you for your time. I know that all of us here appreciate the fact that you're working hard to protect your constituents, the taxpayers of Ohio. In the previous panel, Mr. Renasio of Ohio asked a great question to the witnesses, had to do with the reasonableness of the attorney's fees, and the underlying assumption of his question was that reasonableness many times is in the eye of the beholder, as he said, or really the capacity of the payer to pay. And I guess my question is, if the Fannie Mae defendants, perhaps using Mr. Franklin Raines as an example, if they had to pay even a portion of the attorneys and the attorney's fees that were being paid on his behalf, do you think that would have had an impact on the number of attorneys that filled the courtroom the day that you described?
Well, Mr. Raines does have, Congressman, thank you for the question. Mr. Raines does, we assume, have a lot of resources, and I suppose if he wanted to fill the courtroom full of lawyers to be concerned and pay a lot of people to be thinking at the same time about his problem, he could do that. I'm not sure any reasonable person would do that. I'm not sure any defendant who has to reach into his own pocket, frankly, no matter how much money he or she might have, would have duplicative lawyers there at a fairly routine matter. You know, Congressman, it's one thing to go to trial and make sure you've got enough lawyers there because you're going at it and hard at it. It's something else, it seems to me, for a routine conference with the judge where there aren't huge matters to be thought out or be worried about. So I think the answer clearly is obvious, and that is no person in their right mind shows up with that many lawyers if they're paying for it themselves.
And so in this particular case, in your case, and the litigation that's been brought in Ohio, the taxpayers of Ohio are paying legal fees on both sides, I assume.
Well, that is right. And I think we don't want to forget the fact that each one of you represents some of these victims. We have 50 states that are represented, 30 million pensioners. These are mostly pensions. It's interesting. Fannie Mae, I ask our lawyers who are working on this, well, why in the world so many pensioners? Why in the world so many pension systems? And the answer was Fannie Mae marketed this as and went for these pension systems and said, look, this is a very, very conservative investment. So you have pensioners, 30 million of them, who through their representatives relied on this misrepresentation. First of all, that it was a conservative investment. And second, they relied on the fact that they were getting facts about the condition of Fannie Mae. And that's one thing that is so ironic about this whole discussion in the previous panel, Mr. Chairman. There's no dispute about the facts. They have, as I understand, have not admitted liability, but we've had two regulators who have looked at this who have came to the same conclusion. Fannie Mae settled with both of them, and in one even said we will not dispute in any way. We won't admit anything, but we will not dispute the factual determinations that we're agreeing to. So there's no dispute about what really happened here, or that these are bad actors who did bad things.
Thank you, General DeWine. Yield back.